think even when we look at our constitution, when we are talking about conflict at elections, it also suggests conflict management resolution mechanisms that can be in place. And some of those involve the electoral court, that if complaints are brought up, they need to be followed through. If something has been brought to the electoral court, which is a court that is set up towards the election to attend to everything that is related to elections, including political violence, I think those things need to be heard expeditiously, so that we don't have petitions from 2002 being heard in 2017. Because at the end of the day, a lot of things have happened in the interim, and we are still going back to those times before. But I think when we are talking to communities as well, we also recognize that there are a number of actors who are operating in communities with the objective of fostering a culture of tolerance in communities. Because I also believe that the reason why as Zimbabweans we lack cohesion as we approach important events like elections is also because we are unable to tolerate the views of the next individual. But I think if we recognize that we have a Bill of Rights that specifies the rights of each individual that need to be respected, I think it would be we would not have issues of intolerance. I'll basically talk about the freedom of assembly. As an organization, we have recorded so many Zimbabweans whose rights have been violated and who have been on the receiving end of political violence because they have elected to enjoy that right. When somebody elects to say, I believe in the views of that party, why should someone else come in and think that they need to sort of guide this individual to leave the party that they have selected so that they move along with the party of that other individual? That's cohesion. But there are these freedoms within our constitution, which if respected, we would actually have communities that tolerate each other. So like I was saying, that there are a lot of civil society organizations and church-based organizations that are working in communities with citizens to ensure that citizens respect the rights of the next individual and not impinge on their rights, specifically when we look at issues that are related to political rights, where we find that people are stopped at times to attend rallies of their chosen political parties. And if they do attend them, they are punished for attending them. We also find that citizens are punished for expressing their views, and yet this is guaranteed in the Constitution. People need to be free to speak about what they feel. But I think as Zimbabweans, we are worried about the freedom after the expression, because I might express myself now, but what happens to me afterwards? I will then be arrested because I have said 1, 2, 3, which means that what is in the Constitution is really not what is applying on the ground. So in terms of conflict resolution mechanisms, there are different methods that people are using. In some communities, we find that citizens from different political parties are coming together in structures that assist for them to be able to speak to each other and also talk about the development of their area rather than just to focus on the political violence. And in communities where we have seen these structures operate, we have also seen that the violence in those communities tends to go down, because if you are always sitting around with someone despite the fact that they belong to a different political party, it means that you will find it very difficult to engage in political violence against that particular individual. So somehow some of these barriers that stop communities coming together are being broken in some communities, where they are then able to gather across the political divide. They are able to sort of sort out the differences that exist within the communities. Some of the differences that I can talk about is the issue of the distribution of food. We find that there is discrimination when it comes to the distribution of food. You will find that if you belong to a particular political party, you might actually not access that food that everybody else is getting. And we find that in some communities they have mechanisms that they have put in place that deal with these issues, so that they have a citizenry whose rights are actually respected. As a result, that would actually foster a culture of tolerance going forward.
For these and other stories, visit our website www.263chat.com. Follow us on Twitter @263chat and like our Facebook page 263chat.